Hey everyone, welcome to episode 106 of the Davidson Hang podcast, Reflections on a Life Worth Living, where I share with you actionable takeaways and thought provoking things so you can reflect on your life as well, so you can live a more meaningful and present and peaceful life. So, just had a few days now, just flew back in on Sunday from the Summit of Greatness and just wanted to share with you what some of my takeaways are and some of the reflections I had from that summit. Uh, I just completed with 3 extracurricular projects that I've been a part of, not really being halfway in it and not being really super committed to those. So I realized that my people pleasing tendency helps me be involved with a lot of different projects, but ultimately I was actually doing them a disservice because my heart wasn't really in it. So thank you, the CXO Circle, Orphans Future Alliance, and the Journey Home for allowing me to be able to contribute in the ways that I did. For context, Orphans Future Alliance is where we help orphans with a mentorship program in Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand. So if anyone wants to be able to participate in that, please reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction. CXO Circle is where we interview spiritual, business, and personal transformation leaders on a podcast. Really cool experience, got to interview some really cool folks, but ultimately wanted to do something that's more up my alley and really double down on my podcast instead of focusing on other people's podcasts, so that I can truly interview in the style that I like. And the Journey Home is helping out foster children. Julie Tran, who is the person who enrolled me into the team management leadership program, invited me to participate in this beautiful project to help coach foster children and transform that whole community. And I'm sharing with you all this because it's been pretty hard for me to let things go. I love to get involved in so many different projects, and I have 2 books coming out. One this year is a memoir that I'm wrapping up. So thank you, Green Heart Living Press, for that. And the second one is an ENFP project. So ENFPs is one of the 16 personalities, and we're writing a book because I know that if I was in my 20s, like 21, 22, 23, or any stage, but especially earlier on, if I had a book to help me own what it's like to be an ENFP, so E stands for extrovert, N stands for tuition, F stands for feelings, and P stands for perception. This is the personality type that tends to be very, very enthusiastic, sometimes a people pleaser, adventurer, energetic. But we have a whole book dedicated to helping support ENFPs become their best selves and heal and accept who they are and own who they are and take charge and prosper in life. So anyways, the reason why I'm mentioning all that is this summit helped me really focus. I made an intention to not drink alcohol as often, maybe socially once in a while, but really take a step back from that and see what happens and also committing that this would be my last Spartan race in a while. I'm doing a 15-hour Spartan race called the Ultra Beast Spartan Ultra coming up in October, so in less than 3 weeks. So that should be interesting. And really doubling down on our marriage, and noticed that a lot of these things kind of took me away from focusing and really putting our marriage number one so we can create the family that we want intentionally. So although it's been so hard because such a big part of my identity is social impact and giving back, I'll have a lot more energy to really put myself first and put our marriage first and see what comes from doubling down on that. But yeah, I wanted to share, I just created another video. Check out episode 105 where I talk about some of the speakers. But just wanted to go more in depth. So Wyclef Jean was the headliner at the club on the last night, on Saturday night, and it was really cool. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's a Grammy award-winning rapper, musician, producer, actor. Really talented dude. There was a part that he was like playing the guitar with his tongue, which is wild. I don't even know how he did that. Playing the guitar backwards, just crazy stuff. We had Christian Howes, which is Lewis Howes' brother. So Lewis Howes is the guy who hosted that conference. Bobby Lloyd, who's a very famous jazz musician, composer, pianist, Emmy winner, very talented individual. And oh man, David Michael Wyatt as a singer songwriter, man, his singing was so powerful and just very like gospel and very soul. It was incredible. Really enjoyed that. And NQ, I would say, was my favorite part of the whole conference. He's a multi-platinum songwriter, a poetry slam champion, and best-selling author. His audiobook is amazing. So definitely recommend for you to check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, so just wanted to share with you my takeaways. It was overall very introspective. A lot of takeaways in so many different areas. I wrote some journal entries about it, right? But it was interesting as well because the concept of alcohol came up a lot, and just how I feel like I need alcohol to let down my guard and just to be open instead of like just sitting with that discomfort and just being more mindful of everything, right? I feel like when you're kind of drunk, you're sort of unconscious and like you're able to be a little bit more free. At least that's the story I tell myself. And it's like, why do I feel like I need to be drunk to be able to dance all crazy and stuff like that? And don't get me wrong, it was really fun, like jumping on the stage and, high-fiving Lewis Howes and like just vibing out and all that. But I think honestly I could do that sober as well, So just really interesting stuff. Also reflected and noticed that we made some new friends there, and I was one of the probably very few Asian people at the conference, but it was one of the few times where actually I didn't like notice that actually. Like now that I'm reflecting, I saw that there probably weren't that many there, but it was cool to just think of us as all one and not think about race as much. So that safe environment really helped me feel like I belong. And there was some sadness as well because I declared to myself that I'm just going to focus on my career and less on, of course, this does help my career, right? But really just double down on my career, build on that steady foundation and see what comes from it instead of being pulled into all these different directions. And and I'm thankful that I was involved with all these different projects, but I feel a sense of space to simply just be and not try to fix myself. Because some of those social impact things that I did was because I felt like I was a horrible person in the past, instead of just choosing from, this is being a contribution in the world. And don't get me wrong, half the time it is being a contribution in the world, but there were a lot of times where I felt like I had to do this instead of like really wanting to do this. But yeah, so those are some of the takeaways. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to reach out to me if any of this resonates with you, and remember to subscribe to my podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. Cheers.